As we get older, it's natural to start thinking about where and how we'll spend our golden years, and many envision being close to their children as the ideal situation, helping to raise grandchildren, spending more time together, and being there for each other. It's often sold as the perfect way to stay connected. But what if I told you that this idea, as romantic as it sounds, could be a big mistake, based on countless stories shared by individuals on various platforms and forums? One of the most common concerns is the fear of becoming a burden to your children. The reality is that as we get older, we may need more support, and while our children may initially welcome the idea, over time it can lead to unspoken resentment. Think about it. Your children are likely to be at the height of their careers, running households and possibly raising children of their own. Adding to their already busy schedules by being close to them may inadvertently make them feel like they have to take care of you, even if they're not ready. One woman on Reddit shared her regret. I moved closer to my daughter because I wanted to be part of her life and help with my grandchildren, but slowly I realized I was asking for too much help myself. I became a burden to her. Even though she never said so, it broke my heart, and now I feel stuck. It's not that your children don't love you. They do. But proximity can often bring an unplanned dependency that puts emotional and physical strain on the relationship. Living independently can actually help to preserve the relationship. Loss of independence and identity moving closer to your children can sometimes inadvertently lead to a loss of your own independence. When you're physically close to your family, it becomes easy to rely on them more than you should, whether it's for transport, running errands, or simple decision-making. Take the story of a man who moved next door to his son and daughter-in-law because he thought it would be within months. He found himself constantly asking for small favors like picking up groceries or driving him to appointments. Eventually, he stopped doing a lot of things on his own because it was easier to ask for help, he admitted. I feel like I've lost the confidence to do things on my own. My life has started to revolve around them, and I've forgotten how to live on my own. How to live on your own. Staying away gives you a reason to maintain your independence. You are forced to stay active both mentally and physically, which can add years to your life and help you retain your identity. 3. Strained relationships. Living too close can sometimes strain the very relationships you are trying to nurture. Many older parents report that living too close to their adult children leads to an almost parent-child dynamic, where advice and opinions are freely given, even when they're not wanted. One mother on a forum said, "I thought living next to my son would mean we'd have more quality time, but instead it's like I'm always in his way. It's like I'm always in his way and giving him too many opinions, which he doesn't appreciate, and it's driving a wedge between us. You may think you're just offering help, but your children may perceive it as interference. If you live further away, interactions become more intentional, and there's a healthy space for both parties to breathe and grow individually. Paradoxically, moving closer to your children can sometimes lead to increased feelings of isolation. If you rely too much on your children for companionship or social interaction, you may inadvertently neglect to build your own community of friends and peers." I came across a story on a forum about a woman who moved close to her son, assuming she would be included in the family. However, she soon realized that her son's life was much busier than she had expected. "I've uprooted my life, left behind friends and my community, thinking I would be part of my son's daily life, but he is so busy, and I've ended up feeling more isolated than ever." Building relationships outside your family is crucial if you're living independently. You're more likely to seek out social activities, meet new people, and maintain a sense of purpose and engagement in the world. This adds vibrancy to your life, something you can't get if you're overly reliant on your children. 5. Guilt and obligation on both sides. Living with your children can sometimes create an atmosphere of guilt. You may feel guilty for asking for help, while your children may feel guilty for not asking for help. One woman told a poignant story about how she felt constantly torn between her aging parents, who lived just down the road, and her own busy life. Every time I couldn't help them, I felt guilty, but I also felt resentment building up because I wanted to focus on my career and my children. It's a no-win situation for parents. It's a win-win situation for parents. There's also the emotional strain of feeling like you're getting in the way when you live independently. This constant tension of obligation melts away, visits become more valued, and there's less pressure on both parties. To meet unspoken expectations, six you risk. Missing out on new experiences, living close to your children can limit your sense of adventure and willingness to explore new environments. When you settle down close to family, there's a tendency to fall into routines, assuming that being close will provide a sense of security. One man shared his story of moving to a different state after retirement instead of settling near his children. My daughter was disappointed, but moving to a new city has brought me so much joy. I've joined local clubs, made new friends, and found a community that shares my interests. Choosing a different path for your retirement, whether it's traveling, moving to a new city, or even living in a retirement community, can provide a wealth of experiences that keep you engaged and excited about life. You get to write the next chapter of your story, one that's uniquely yours. 7-year children may not be ready for the responsibility. Most adult children are not emotionally or practically prepared to take on the responsibility of an aging parent nearby. So this can put an enormous amount of pressure on them, even if they try to handle it gracefully. How her mother moved nearby after her father died. It seemed like a good idea at first, but then I realized I wasn't ready for that kind of responsibility. I'm trying to juggle work, raising my own kids, and now I'm helping my mom more than I ever thought I would. It's caused stress in my marriage, and sometimes I just feel overwhelmed. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that being close to your children is the best way to find meaning in your later years. But what about you? What do you want? After decades of working, raising a family, and sacrificing for others, it's finally time to focus on your own needs, passions, and aspirations. This is your time. One heartwarming story I came across was of a woman who moved to a beach town on her own after retiring. I thought my next step would be to move closer to my children, but I realized I had spent enough of my life being what other people needed. I found a place by the sea, and for the first time in decades, I am doing things for myself. I do things for myself. My kids come to visit, but they see a mom who is happy and fulfilled. It's a gift I never expected to give them. Your retirement years should be about rediscovering yourself, reigniting your passions, and enjoying the freedom that comes with this stage of life. Whether it's traveling, taking up new hobbies, or just having fun. Your children's parenting choices may frustrate you. Living close to your children often means seeing more of their parenting styles up close. And while this sounds like a great way to bond, it can lead to frustration if you don't agree with their choices, whether it's discipline, education, or even what they feed their children. You may find yourself in a situation where you quietly, or not so quietly, disagree with how they raise your grandchildren, with the way they raise your grandchildren. One grandmother shared her experience on an online forum. I never realized how much I was struggling with my daughter's parenting style until I lived nearby. I want to help, but we're constantly at odds over little things like how much TV they let the kids watch or how they handle tantrums. I moved closer to my daughter because I thought we'd spend more time together, but we ended up clashing over how she raises her children. I grew up in a different era, and it's hard not to give advice, even when you don't want to. We've argued about things like screen time and discipline. And now I feel like I'm tiptoeing around her when you live far away. These lifestyle differences are less in your face. You don't see the day-to-day decisions your children make. This space can also help to maintain the respect necessary for a positive relationship, ensuring that your role as a parent doesn't evolve into one of constant criticism or unsolicited advice. also allows your children to make their own choices without feeling judged. 10. Proximity can lead to overstepping boundaries even with the best of intentions. Living too close to your children can make it difficult to maintain healthy boundaries. It's easy to start dropping in unannounced, expecting frequent visits, or becoming overly involved in their daily lives. One woman said, "I love my mom, but after she moved nearby, I started to feel like I was on call all the time. She would drop in unexpectedly. And although she just wanted to chat, I felt like I had no privacy or space. I started to resent her, and I know she felt hurt by my withdrawal. Maintaining boundaries is essential for both parties. To maintain a sense of autonomy and mutual respect, living further apart helps to enforce these natural boundaries. It's easier to allow your children to maintain their family life while giving you the space to enjoy yours. Regular, planned visits become special and appreciated rather than an expectation that can lead to tensions. Point 11. The grandparent role can be overwhelming. Being close to your grandchildren can be a wonderful experience. But for many, it can also become overwhelming if you live nearby. There's often an unspoken expectation that you'll be heavily involved in babysitting, school pickups, or simply spending a lot of time with your grandchildren. While this may be fulfilling for a while, it can start to wear you down, especially if you feel obligated to spend time with your grandchildren. One grandfather said, "I moved closer to my daughter because I thought I'd have more time with my grandchildren. I love them dearly, but now I find myself looking after them almost every day and it's exhausting. I'm retired, but I feel like I've taken on a new job. I don't know how to say no without causing tension, but I miss my free time. Living at a distance allows you to set boundaries more easily. You can still be an involved grandparent, but on your own terms and without feeling like you're stepping into a full-time caring role. It's not easy to admit it, but living too close to your children in old age may not be the dream scenario you imagine. It can lead to feelings of being a burden, a loss of independence, strained relationships, and even isolation. Your best life may actually be one where you keep your distance, both emotionally and physically, while still being able to enjoy your grandchildren. It's not about abandoning your family or distancing yourself emotionally. It's about giving yourself the freedom to live your best life while allowing your children to do the same. It's about balance, staying close in spirit but giving yourself and your children the space to live your lives fully and independently. Your golden years should be about fulfillment, maintaining your identity and thriving. Fulfillment, maintaining your identity, and thriving in a way that goes beyond being close to your family. Trust me when I say that your family will appreciate you more when they see you thriving and living a life full of purpose. You'll find that the space, both physical and emotional, creates stronger bonds, healthier relationships, and a happier life for everyone involved. Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe to help us reach more wonderful people like you. Thanks for watching.